In the dim incandescence of his office, Samuel Radley shuffled through the stories strewn across his worn mahogany desk. The scent of stale coffee clung to the cluttered room, a silent witness to countless nights spent chasing the unattainable. A story that could mend his fragmented reputation. Papers rustled, each holding within them stories waiting to be told. Yet none held the elusive spark to inflame Radley's spirit, until he pulled forth a seemingly inconsequential report. An unknown life form found in a hospital halfway across the country in Huntington, New York. He rubbed his rheumy eyes, the spectacles perched precariously on his aquiline nose, fogging up with effort. The ghost of a smile pulled at the corners of his lips, eyes gleaming in the soft light. He let the silence wash over him, the quiet ticking of the clock punctuating the stillness as he considered the implications. In his prime, he was a titan in the world of journalism, known for his generosity in a field often marred by selfish ambition. Yet his past haunted him, a battle with schizophrenia that tarnished his credibility and sent him spiraling from the pedestal the world had once put him on. A journey to Huntington could bring redemption. It also meant facing a ghost far more personal, his estranged daughter Emily, who had made her home in the quiet town. He studied the lines of his reflection in the dimmed window, etched deep with the weight of unspoken words and the promise of a story that was as tantalizing as it was terrifying. In the backdrop of the moonlit city, he dialed a number he hadn't in years. The phone rang, splitting the silence, each ring echoing the beat of his heart. When Emily picked up, he could only manage a whisper, "I'm coming to Huntington." The conversation was brief, their words clipped and cautious. His heart ached at her cold detachment, a painful reminder of the chasm that had grown between them. But this was not a moment for sentimentality. He had a story to chase, a relationship to mend, a past to confront, and perhaps a future to reclaim. With a sigh, he slumped into his worn-out chair, spinning it to face the cityscape stretched out below him. The buildings stood like monoliths, shrouded in the quiet of the night, a canvas of shadows and twinkling lights. It was a world oblivious to the horror lurking in an unknown hospital, unaware of the story that was about to unfold. The night ebbed away as he found himself aboard a midnight train to Huntington, his reflection wavering in the cold glass. As the city blurred into indistinct flashes of light, the train charged into the abyss, a symphony of steel and steam, singing the prelude to a dark tale yet untold. His train disappeared into the depths of the night, leaving behind the sleeping city with a lingering sense of unease. As the train's whistle died down, it became clear the journey had just begun. It was a ride into a mystery that promised more than just the discovery of an unknown life form. It hinted at sinister events, broken relationships, and a man's quest for redemption amid the darkness. It was a ticket to the very heart of cosmic horror. As dawn stretched its golden fingers across the horizon, the train pulled into the quaint yet eerie town of Huntington. Sleep had eluded Radley. His mind kept awake by a cacophony of past regrets and an undertow of apprehension about the impending investigation. Upon disembarking, he felt the morning dew underfoot, a thin veil of mist obscuring the faces of the people bustling around the station. With a dogged determination born out of decades of chasing elusive leads, he made his way to the heart of the mystery, the Huntington Hospital. The hospital loomed large and imposing against the pastel hues of the morning sky. Its grim facade, devoid of warmth, was an echo of the uncertainty that lay within its clinical, white walls. Dark rumors clung to the hospital, much like the ivy that curled up its crumbling brickwork. Once inside, he could feel the somber ambiance of the place, an oppressive silence punctuated by the distant beeping of medical equipment and hushed whispers. Long, sterile hallways stretched out before him, disappearing into an ambiguous labyrinth that seemed more like an echo of his own mind than a mere building. His first port of call was Dr. Harriet Graham, the head of medicine. She was a figure of frailty wrapped in a cocoon of steely resolve. Her hands shook subtly, eyes darted about with an unnerving mix of fear and intrigue as she shared details of the unknown life form and the staff's encounters with it. The life form had yet to be classified. It existed somewhere in the liminal space between the known and the unexplained, where science met horror. As the day wore on, he interviewed more staff and even a few patients who were willing to speak. Stories of disappearing staff members and patients who would return changed, transformed, filtered through. There was talk of erratic behavior, hollowed eyes, voices speaking in tongues that seemed both ancient and otherworldly. Each story seemed to add another layer to the enigmatic tapestry that the hospital was woven into. He tried to separate the wheat from the chaff, but with each passing account, the shadows in his vision seemed to become more palpable. They danced at the periphery of his sight, sparking the haunting memories of his battles with schizophrenia. He was standing before the door to a restricted area, a pulsating darkness beyond its threshold. There was an inexplicable dread tied to it, the source of the rumors, perhaps the home of the unknown life form. His heart pounded in his chest, the rhythmic throbbing mimicking the cadence of a dreadful drumbeat leading into the unknown. His final call of the day was to Emily, an awkward conversation, filled with pauses and unspoken words. There was no warmth, just the brittle ice of their relationship. His decision was made. He would delve deeper into this mystery, not just for the story, but for Emily. As night fell, he stood staring at the moon's reflection on his hotel room's window, the silence within him deeper than the night outside. There was a promise in the air, a twisted symphony about to be played. This was no longer just about an unknown life form. A web of conspiracy seemed to be spinning around him, a cosmic horror brewing beneath the veneer of a humble hospital in Huntington. As the sun emerged from the cradle of the horizon, its rays filtering through the half-drawn blinds of his hotel room, Radley sat, steeped in thought. The world outside his window was just beginning to stir, oblivious to the maelstrom unfurling within the walls of the Huntington Hospital. That day, he stepped into the labyrinthine belly of the hospital once more. His interactions with the hospital staff, previously imbued with a mild curiosity, took a darker turn. Whispers of a hidden cult among the medical staff reached his ears, tales of a macabre devotion to the unknown life form. The hospital was no longer a sanctuary of healing. It was a shrine to something far older and more terrifying. Navigating through the hospital's sterile maze, he unearthed ghastly experiments performed under the guise of scientific curiosity. The entity wasn't merely a biological anomaly. It was a deity of sorts, a cosmic power worshipped and used to extract unimaginable horrors from the minds of its victims. As he delved deeper into the heart of the hospital, his own mind began to waver. The shadows that once danced in the periphery of his vision were now at center stage, blurring the lines between his tormented past and the abominable reality he was uncovering. His own sanity, a gossamer thread, was being stretched taut over the abyss of the unknown. In the midst of his investigation, he crossed paths with Emily. Their interaction was terse, their words heavy with years of unspoken bitterness. Yet as he watched Emily's retreating form disappear down one of the hospital's long corridors, a chilling realization dawned upon him. His daughter was being drawn into the cult's influence, becoming another pawn in the game of cosmic chess. Alone in his hotel room, he was making the conscious choice to infiltrate the cult. It was a decision fraught with danger, a journey into the mouth of madness itself. But it was a sacrifice he was willing to make, not for the story that had brought him to Huntington, but for Emily. His resolve solidified, he stepped back into the shadowy heart of the hospital, cloaked in the cover of darkness. His every step echoed with foreboding as he descended further into the labyrinth, his heart pounding a rhythm of desperate courage against his ribs. The line between the hunter and the hunted blurred. He found himself standing at the precipice of an abyss that seemed to gaze back into him. The descent into darkness was now complete, the path back as nebulous as the one that lay ahead. He was staring into the pulsating darkness of the restricted area, the door closing behind him, signifying his commitment to the terrifying task ahead. The door closed behind Radley, the echo of its finality shuddering through the darkness that swallowed him. He stood at the heart of the hospital, far from the world of reason and sanity, staring into an abyss that held an entity older and more terrifying than anything mankind could comprehend. Within the restricted area, he moved through a world that was a grotesque mockery of a hospital. Instead of healing and comfort, these halls were home to worship and sacrifice. The wails of those touched by the cosmic entity resonated through the damp, chilling air, a lament to the horrors birthed by the unseen order. Through the shadows, he caught glimpses of the doctors and nurses he had met during his investigation. Their faces, once alive with curiosity and fear, now held a hypnotic reverence for the entity. Among the converted, he spotted Emily, her eyes hollowed, her being stripped bare to serve the lifeform's insatiable curiosity. His heart wrenched, the pain sharper than any he had felt before. Desperate to save his daughter, he journeyed deeper into the terrifying abyss. The entity seemed to sense him, its power whispering along the edges of his mind, probing and beckoning him closer. Its alien thoughts resonated within him, a melody of darkness and knowledge, inviting him to surrender and join its followers. The boundaries of his sanity began to blur. He stood on the precipice of a chasm where cosmic horror and human understanding clashed and merged. He saw visions of other realities, of cosmic entities, of the horrors and wonders that lay just beyond the veil of his understanding. In this world of chaos, he found Emily. She was at the center of the adoration, lost in the sea of the entity's followers. The sight of his daughter in the clutches of the cosmic horror steeled his resolve. He reached out to her, his voice barely a whisper against the crescendo of alien thoughts that filled the air. He pleaded, fought, struggled against the unseen order that held them captive. Her gaze met his, a glimmer of recognition sparked, but quickly extinguished, lost in the entity's hypnotic trance. In that moment, he realized the futility of his struggle. The unseen order was not an enemy to be fought, but a reality to be accepted. He saw his schizophrenia not as an ailment, but as a gift, an ability to perceive beyond the veil of the human mind. He was not the victim of the cosmic horror, but its chosen conduit. As understanding dawned upon him, his resolve melted into acceptance. His fight to save Emily turned into a solemn surrender to the cosmic entity. His world was not one of newspapers and leads, but of cosmic truths that transcended human comprehension. The once revered journalist, he joined the unseen order, not out of defeat, but out of acceptance. His tale ended in the heart of cosmic horror, with a sacrifice for his daughter and a testament to the unfathomable power of the cosmic entity. The tale of an old journalist and his descent into darkness concluded, but the memory of his journey into the unseen order lingered, like a scar etched deep into the canvas of cosmic horror. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe to our channel, where you can find more similar stories, and click on the bell icon to never miss one. There is plenty more cosmic horror to come from the Eldritch Tales Factory. Stay tuned, and until next time.